Alright, hello everybody, Resonance here, and welcome to the second African Kingdoms Expert 3v3 showcase hosted by myself and Robo, who will be co-casting with me today. This is Game 4 in a 5-game series, and the goal of these matches is to show us how the top Age of Empires 2 experts will play the brand new expansion. In Game 4, each team is required to pick one Forgotten and one African Kingdom Civ, and they'll be playing on a modified version of Arena that contains the new animals, but is otherwise exactly the same. I'm going to briefly flash the draft on the screen. This is going to be the second time that we've had to go through this because they did use their remake here. And we see some very interesting civ choices for both sides. This is something that Robo mentioned a little bit earlier, where both teams have the Malians, but they also have civs that are sort of designed to deal with them. The Malians are known for their very strong infantry with high pierce armor, so having things like the Turks to deal with the Malian champions is pretty excellent. The Slavs champions with Dragina are very strong versus the Malians champions. And I suppose the Goths can kind of outspam you, but the Malians are the power pick of choice for both teams. So this will be interesting to see how this plays out.
And now that I think about it a little bit more, I'm really starting to like the Slavs. Because they give them a good siege, because none of the other civs really have extremely strong siege. Like, you've got the Turkish bombard cannons, but the Goths don't really have siege, and if I remember correctly, Malians don't really have much either.
Yeah, their siege is okay.
Oh, well, they've got siege onagers, but... which is actually something I didn't actually know. Okay, that's interesting. So actually, yeah, never mind that.
Yeah, they have
Everyone's got
bombard
siege
cannons.
onagers.
They have bombard cannons too.
Yeah, but like the Turks got bombard cannons too. For, well, at least for the NC team.
Dude, everyone in NC can make bombard cannons. OP.
Oh, OP.
That's the team utility right there. Anyone will be able to fill in. We're just waiting like a little bit for all the players to show up. So if you decide that you are watching the match on YouTube, you can probably just skip ahead like 20, 30 seconds. It shouldn't take too long. Welcome to the stream, Kaylee. We're almost there, guys. Both teams also banned out the Aztecs, and this is a ban that makes sense to me, of course, because the Aztecs are a very dominant civilization on Arena. Arena, a lot of the fighting is in the Castle Age and beyond, and this is because, you know, players start with stone walls, so they're relatively safe, and you don't really need to worry about getting cheesed too hard. Unless you've seen that Break the Meta episode of the Arena Feudal Age Rush. That doesn't happen. The Aztecs, since they get strong monks, incredibly strong monks, and things like Eagle Warriors are very powerful in the Castle Age. Players often, you know, compete for control, especially in a 1v1 for those relics. And having Eagle Warriors be so cheap as a natural answer to your opponent's monks makes the Aztecs very difficult to deal with. And it looks like all the players are here.
Yeah, we are ready. And off we go.
Yep. Aztecs also have pretty strong economy and whatnot. Alright, so let's go check out the layout of the map, see where all the players are located. I will introduce one of the teams, I guess you can introduce the other one. If everyone loads in, GG!
GG.
How does it feel, Andorin, if I say we should continue now?
Oh, we had a good run there.
I'm not doing the intro again. So if you're watching this on YouTube, then we're remaking it again. So now you have permission to skip ahead like a few minutes.
You could always just cut out the middle bit if you wanted to.
If I do, then I have to upload it from my computer rather than the Twitch servers, and then that could take hours.
True.
I also have to download the whole raw, unedited, like 5-hour broadcast, and then I have to edit it down and then upload it again. I might do that, but that is a several-hour process. Oh shit, we have to restart Steam too. Oh, this game is.
I'm all good. I don't know about you.
This game is awful. But if you stick around between the games, we've been giving out copies of Aoe2 HD in case you want to crash, lag, and have to restart your game after spectating. You can do that.
Just like the pros.
Just like the pros. Thanks, Kanye. Find out in the African Kingdoms 3v3 Showcase number 2 how the pros handle the lag. Now, of course, I have links in the video description for everything you need, including just other miscellaneous expert games, tutorials, gameplay videos, etc., stuff for other games, as well as the first African Kingdoms 3v3 Showcase. So, feel free to check that out. And I also have my live stream schedule on my Twitch page, which you can see by just scrolling underneath the video player. It looks like we're in! Still more reliable than AOM, yes. Alright,
Yes.
Since I have started on the NC side, I guess I'll introduce NC and then you can introduce Brazil. So we'll do it backwards as what we did before. So, in the left corner of the map, we have Pedro playing as the blue Malians, and then we have Andorin playing as the green Indians as his pocket, and then on the top side of the map, we have NilPferD playing as the red Turks.
And opposite them, we have RiuT as the yellow Slavs. With the pocket, we have Fire playing as the Malians in the orange, and finally Dogao as the purple Goths.
Ooh.
Initially, for me, I really like having the Indian player as the pocket. I feel like NC might go for a sling strat using that, because the Indians have such a nice eco bonus. Like a castle sling would be really strong if they wanted to go that route, or even a feudal sling to Turkish fast imp or something like that could definitely be an option.
Yeah, they could delay the sling a little bit and just go to the castle age. That way, Andorin will be able to put down lots of town centers and take full advantage of the Indians' cheaper villagers, which is actually quite a strong economy bonus, especially since it got increased in African Kingdoms. So that'll be interesting to see. And then always in the later stages of the game, the Indians do have a fairly diverse tech tree, so we could see that kind of stuff come into play, but I would sort of expect a sling to start. And yeah, they got the Goths flank. Opposing side has the Malians pocket and Slavs flank versus the Turks. Ooh.
Pedro just lost a vill to an elephant. That was a little bit unfortunate.
Ooh.
Headbutt to the face.
Well, yeah, this is the answer to the question: how do the pros handle the HD input delay with two spectators from opposite sides of the map? To the best of their abilities.
Yes, they're trying. Okay,
they're trying their best.
Their fault. Everyone has trouble.
Sometimes it jumps up to a several second delay here. So, yeah, I guess what do you think of the players' civ choices? Because right now the early game is going to be relatively quiet on Arena. No one really has to worry about getting rushed. So what do you think it comes down to with the civ comps?
Oh, I think Malians are by far the strongest African Kingdom civ for the situation, just because their champs and infantry in general late game are really strong. And now that I've noticed that they also have siege onager, that's really quite potent. Turks are just obviously a good arena civ. Like, they can fast imp, they can do castle drop jans, they can do monks. They've got so many options. And then Indians, their eco bonus is really strong. If they happen to be versus a paladin civ, having imperial camels is good. And I think that'd be a very strong sling civ, which my gut feeling is that's what NC are going to go for.
Yeah, especially considering that... Oh, yeah? Continue.
And then I was going to say the other side. Again, we've got Malians. Same answer. Goths are a little bit trickier without stone walls. If they get rushed with like a castle drop or siege and monks, they're probably going to have some troubles. But if they make it to late game, their infantry spam is just so amazingly strong. And then Slavs are just like Celt light, basically. Good infantry, good siege. But then they also get boyar, which is like a cross between a Teutonic Knight and Cataphract almost.
Yeah, it's like a paladin that's slightly worse versus the ranged units and significantly better versus melee units. So the boyar has a lot of niche applications to it, I think. I would really expect this sling here from Andorin, especially considering that the Malians are a civilization where you really want to get to the Imperial Age with them and abuse that ridiculous Pierce Armor bonus on their infantry units to its full potential with those champions and halberdiers. So I would love to see that, especially because the Malians early on, if they're able to sort of cheese the Goths before Dogao gets too strong, that'll be excellent. Dogao's going to have a lot of trouble defending too because you can't add an additional stone wall. So I expect to see that sling, but overall I'm very satisfied with both teams' civ choices. I think that they drafted quite well.
Oh, and also I forgot to mention the Slavs can also be a pretty good sling with their faster working farmers.
Yeah. It's
That's
not an
also
excellent
something to
eco
think
bonus,
about.
but it's good. And we've seen it used before. We saw that in the previous African Kingdom showcase, actually. It was like the rain team.
The what was it? The fortress map, I think. Regicide
Yeah, it's
Fortress.
Fortress.
Slav sling.
And that was pretty cool. It's worth noting as well that since the elephant has like ever so slightly more food than normal, that this will speed up players' booms just a little bit. And all right, now the early game quite quiet. We see RiuT is opting to open some holes in his walls to
That's
speed
because
up.
he doesn't have any gates.
Wait, oh, he doesn't. He
He doesn't
doesn't.
have any gates. He could build a palisade gate, but then that's just a massive weakness in his wall.
This map generation is absolutely awful. I mean, I've seen games where Zero Empires has, like a segment of like 4 tiles of walls as an exit, and there's no gate. But this one, there's so much area that RiuT's walls cover, and yet he actually has no gate. That is some terrible luck.
It's kind of hilarious to think about it.
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, he had an elephant and 4 sheep on the outside, or goats in this case. So that was a little bit unlucky, but it's still quite funny. And he's got no exit. It's like the map's trying to say, no, you stay inside.
Yeah, you can always patch them up with houses, which we usually see. I was going to say that a lot of players like opt to delete a hole in their wall to lure like the elephant or the boar through it, rather than have it walk the long way to save time and also to make sure that your villagers and stuff don't die. Which is what I thought he was doing, but it turns out he just actually didn't have a choice, and he could not escape his base at all.
A little bit unlucky there, but oh well. He'll be able to deal with it. He can always build a gate once he gets to feudal age. And he's also got a relic in his base, so I guess the game's like, here, we'll give you a relic to kind of balance it out.
Yeah, nice little back area with some back gold. Dogao using his scout, of course, to lure the ostrich underneath the town center. That way, his villagers only have to sit up to drop off the food rather than have to, walk a reasonable distance to drop that off. We see all these players prepping their economy for a fast castle age. How do we know this? Well, we see the 3 villagers on gold, very heavy food, and keeping a close eye on their economies will give us a little bit of an idea of what kind of strategies they're going for. Like, for example, Andorin, he does not have his gold mine yet. Spooky.
And he's going up on 30 pop, so
Spooky.
I think a sling is quite very possible, just judging by how late he's going up.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. The way his economy is set up here, he's also playing a little bit defensively by trying to expand his walls a bit with some palisades and a house. Just trying to protect himself without any gold. He's not going to be able to fast castle, so clearly he's going for the feudal age sling or something incredibly bizarre. What do you think about the feudal age sling compared to the castle age one?
It's pretty much dependent on what strategy the person you're slinging is going to do. So like, if the Turkish player is doing a fast imp, for example, the feudal sling would be a lot stronger because the sling gets to him earlier. Because feudal sling, you'll start slinging about 12, 13 minute mark if you do like a standard build. Whereas a castle sling, you'll start at about 20 minutes normally. Like that's your ideal start point. So it's just a matter of timing. Like you both get about the same resources slung by the 30-minute mark, but obviously a feudal sling, it's a lot quicker.
Yeah. So it looks like that is going to probably be his game plan based off the way his economy is set up here. NilPferD, first player up to the feudal age, I believe. He's going to be putting down his blacksmith and market, so he's on his way to the castle age relatively soon. For those of you who are wondering what the sling is, by the way, the sling is a strategy where what you do is you build a market early on, either in the feudal age or the castle age, and you spend most of the game primarily focusing on your economy and just tributing resources to 1 or 2 of your teammates. And it's called a sling because with all those tributes, hopefully your teammate can slingshot himself through the ages much quicker, abuse that technology lead, and just kind of cheese people out before the fact that you have 1 fewer player making military units really matters. So the sling can be a little bit risky if the game drags on, but it's such a powerful strategy in general in team games.
I'm just wondering who he's going to sling. And like he doesn't know who he's going to be able to sling until he gets his market built, because that sling bug.
Yeah. Oh, that's some horrible RNG. Also, for those of you who are not aware, Aoe2 HD, of course, has a plethora of wonderful fun bugs that add to the experience a little bit. One of them that has yet to be fixed, no sign of that so far, is in games where there are spectators, sometimes, not all the time, sometimes you can't sling one of your teammates for some reason, and that teammate appears to be just random, so we'll see who Andorin will be able to unload his resources into, or maybe he's able to tribute everybody.
Well, with the 1k food he has, he can basically sling someone to imp right now, if they're able to put bills on gold. So I'm thinking NilPferD is the most likely candidate, because he's got the Turkish gold mining bonus.
Yeah.
But
oh, he's putting down a secondary mining camp. Look how many gold miners he has. This screams fast imp to me.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, but...
Oh, there's the 910 food. Yep.
Now he just needs the gold?
Of which he has a whole lot of gold miners.
I think he probably would be better off doing a more standard fast imp build and then using the sling just to boost his economy after being able to do that.
I like how you can see all three Brazil players patrolling their scouts in front of NilPferD's walls because they know, they fear the Turks. They're like, what's he up to? They want to make sure that they see any forward villagers that come out in case this is like going to be a Turk Castle Age castle drop with Janissaries, or he's going to go straight to the Imperial Age and go for that, you know, Turk gunpowder rush that we've seen before. Thank you so much, Fosmo Official, for the 8-month resub. Yeah, don't worry, guys. They're probably not going to fix the moonwalk bug.
No, I think they've said that they're not going to fix that because it's not really
too iconic.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Like, I love it. Just when you see a fishing ship or a scout just decide to run backwards.
I run into a lot of trouble when I ask the devs to fix certain bugs that never get fixed, but a fairly easy request is like, can you guys not fix this bug? And they're like, yes, we cannot do that.
It's always
let it be done. Yes, Influenza has noted that pause actually affects the spectators as well. The spectating system in HD is far more archaic than most people know. Influenza, you might get a kick out of this, but if you have spectators and you're playing on one of those weird special maps that they added in African Kingdoms, like the ones that don't use like the standard random map gen, they're essentially a glorified scenario. Some of them are kind of cool, but if you have spectators in them, it shifts all the players over their position on the map. Like, everyone has a predefined position. So if I'm a spectator, then Pedro would be in NilPferD spots, so everyone would be shifted over, so that leaves like a huge hole in the map, and it's like, it's awful.
It seems RiuT's coming forwards for a monk rush.
Oh, is he?
Slavs do actually get good monks, which I completely forgot about.
They get excellent monks.
Now that NilPferD's got the free light cav upgrade, their scouts are trying to go ham on the Brazilian scouts hanging outside his base.
Take advantage of every little bonus.
RiuT's decided, nope, I'm getting the fuck out of here. Those scouts are too scary.
Oh my. Dogao might lose his scout here. Thank you, Domo Bomb. So yeah, it looks like perhaps some aggressive forward monk play. This is even stronger considering that, you know, well actually wait, no. Is he going to do that?
Up. NilPferD's already up. And he's almost got the stone for a castle.
Huh. RiuT only has one forward villager now. This is actually not going to work at all. Is it?
No, I think he's decided to completely abandon that plan.
Yeah, he's done. Now he's just trying to get the wall off here. He's going to run straight into a crocodile. And the tables have turned. NilPferD is going to be the one forwarding RiuT, who was considering doing it earlier and then ended up causing him a lot of idle time. It's worth noting that he actually built a stone mine rather early because he needed to put down some gates. And he didn't want to put down the palisade gate, which would have left his walls very vulnerable.
And that forward ville has seen NilPferD's villages, but she has also died as well.
Rip.
And interestingly, Dogao has quite smartly built a defensive castle to defend his golden stone. And Pedro seems to be doing a monk rush. So that's not going to go well at all with that castle there in the front.
This is a great read from Dogao there, knowing that the way his map is set up, you have to adapt your strategy to the way your map gen is. And here he recognizes that his main gold is very vulnerable right next to the walls. Obviously, Pedro has indeed scouted that, and the Monk Rush is just a great way to poke at your flank player from a safe distance, and this castle will deny that entirely, also protects his main stone, and allows him to even make a handful of huskarls, which Dogao is going to use to try and reinforce RiuT when NilPferD starts to push in, as he is so close to the Imperial Age. This is going to be really scary for him.
And Fire seems to be slinging Dogao.
Yeah, this is... Oh my god.
Which I feel seems to be a little bit of a waste of the Malians' potential.
I would agree.
But I think it might actually really work here because Pedro's going to be completely screwed over by this castle. He's not going to get in time to be able to do any significant damage. And Dogao is only 100 food, 200 gold away from clicking up.
The Goths huskarls are certainly going to be a force to be reckoned with. Dogao going to unpause here. What I'm mostly curious about is how much damage can NilPferD do with all this money. The Turks Fast Imp is a fairly all-in strategy in that it very much cripples your economy. And a lot of players fail to adapt after that and actually build the necessary economy if it doesn't outright kill their opponents. Like right now, NilPferD scrambling around to put down some houses as fast as he can. He's even putting a second layer of emergency walls back in his own base in case he gets pushed. Here comes the Janissaries.
Alright, well, something I just have to point out, the African monastery looks so cool.
Oh, it does, yeah.
Let's just take a moment to appreciate the beauty, and then go back to the game.
Like, the guys who did the graphics for the African Kingdoms and Forgotten expansions are absolutely amazing. And speaking of amazing, Dogao has a petard, which it looks like he's also going to be bringing with them.
Oh, is he going Castle Age husks? Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
That's interesting. That's gonna be quite dangerous, actually. That's a lot worse for the NC team than if he went for a fast imp.
Yeah, that's going to be quite tricky to defend against. The Goths able to mass up their armies so quickly. I mean, monks are okay versus the huskarls, and he will be able to convert them from the safety of those walls, but right now Dogao has absolute map control here because of this. No one's actually going to leave the safety of their walls to deal with those huskarls, and Dogao has 2 petards, which is exactly what you need to one-shot a piece of wall. So right now he's just trying to lead these mangonels along, so that way he can safely escort those petards to the wall. Will he get it?
Pedro needs to leave his monks at the wall and try to convert the petards.
He's gonna get missed.
Uh-oh, that's a problem. That's a problem.
Oh, rest in pieces.
So, Pedro's base is about to get wiped off the map. Oh, well, Dogao is an imp, never mind.
Onale, onale. The petards are in, as that mangonel shot did miss. Petards will live. Bust open that wall. Now the critical mass of huskarls are in. A couple of them do get converted, but huskarls are such a devastating raiding unit to deal with, especially early on, because they just shirk off that town center fire. Pedro has to put in a bunch of emergency walls, and he is basically screwed. Meanwhile, NilPferD getting cock-blocked by all these walls. He has 2 trebuchets, but it's so inefficient that he's been forced to try and treb RiuT stone mine instead. It's going to take a long time to get through that.
And Pedro is just trying to go for full monk defense, but I don't think this is going to work. There's just going to be too many huskarls streaming in far too quickly for him to be able to convert them.
Oh god. Pedro putting down so many of those African Kingdoms monasteries just to show us how beautiful those graphics are. Really, the only thing that can keep him alive here for even like half a second now is like some quick walling, but Dogao's in the Imperial Age. There are trebs here. This man is absolutely dead. Is it time to evacuate some villagers? Because it looks like Pedro thinks so.
Yep. And he has a monk with a relic out in the middle of the map. So if you need some gold, he can always build a monastery somewhere.
Yes. But Robo, NilPferD is in. RiuT is dying too. So we're going to end up in one of my favorite phases of competitive Age of Empires 2. Cripple Simulator, where both teams have a dead guy. And the question is who can kill each other the fastest, as both... Look at Andorin's base!
Get all the walls.
He is ready to hold the line. They're going to sacrifice everything, and we're going to see who can kill the opposing team faster. Will Dogao eat everybody, or will NilPferD eat them faster?
Pedro can't even actually get in to Andorin's base, so he has to go run all the way to NilPferD.
Oh my god, that is so bad. But Dogao already moving out, realizing that he has basically finished off Pedro, and that Pedro's kind of abandoned his own base. He's already getting ready to apply pressure to Andorin. But that damn it, Cision, he nerfed that Stonewall HP. It's 900 HP in the Feudal Age as opposed to 1,800. Andorin's going to be fuming when those huskarls reach his walls. This is not going to hold for very long.
And as soon as they were both slinging Dogao, if like both their slings, if they're both the slings stop, then Dogao's economy is gonna start to fall apart. Like it's still gonna be strong, but like he's got 3 TCs going, no, 2 TCs, but not gonna keep up with what he's doing at the moment.
One of the bigger differences here is that at least RiuT managed to evacuate significantly more of his villagers than Pedro. Pedro is actually building his town center in the middle of the map. That is...
ballsy.
That is bold. That's not going to last. I think Pedro might actually get defeated at some point. Meanwhile, though, Dogao's like, alright, I'm ready to kill the other guy who's slinging, and oh my, that's a lot of walls. Is he actually just going to go straight for NilPferD? They're not going to do this dance, damn.
Oh, if he goes straight for NilPferD's economy, he's going to run right past Pedro.
Oh, rip Pedro. Oh no.
Look at the huskarls, they're heading straight for the TC. I've got his fog of war on. I want to see if he notices.
Well, meanwhile, Fire is getting wrecked by these hand cannoneers. Like I said, this is a race. This is essentially a glorified 1v1 between NilPferD and Dogao, both of them super swole. However, like, NilPferD is actually only on 2 TCs. And this is what I was talking about when I said the Turks fast imp rush is about as all-in as it gets, and players just don't really build much of an eco. Dogao, comparatively, has a significantly larger, at least, amount of farms. Like, NilPferD hasn't really adapted to this yet. But Andorin is still alive.
Actually, Pedro's still alive in his base. He's converted some huskarls. He's still got some monks running around.
Oh my god!
There, but he's got a tiny little bit of army, and he
has no villagers.
His base. And he's going to keep getting gold from the relics he's collected earlier.
He has no villagers, but he's actually fighting back, being an absolute nuisance to Dogao. He might be able to slowly reclaim his own base. Meanwhile, RiuT also settling in the middle of nowhere, starting from scratch. No better time than now to start building your eco, as Fire about to get disintegrated. This is an hilarious game! By the gods.
The problem is, look at that massive huskarls. I don't think NilPferD can stop that. Oh, that bombard cannon shots, though, that was pretty good.
Yeah, they do a little bit of area effect damage, and 40 is quite a bit. The elite huskarls have almost full upgrades, just barely missing blast furnace. Meanwhile, NilPferD does indeed have all of his own upgrades. Hand cannoneers are decent against huskarls, but not excellent as we can see here. Huskarls shirk off that damage, resist it slightly. Right now, NilPferD's like, oh shit, I can't deal with the huskarls that spawn so quickly. NilPferD needs more military units. Thanks, Kyle. Yeah, he's going to have a lot of trouble massing up a sizable army to actually defend against this. As he's trying desperately to build this castle, but I think it's too little too late.
Is he going to get the wall? Oh, he got the wall. Whew.
Oof.
And Pedro is still trying to push out. He's still going with the monks. He's converting.
Pedro's winning this fight. Oh, he's actually winning this fight.
That is amazingly hilarious.
The Malians are... he's just moving back into his own base. He's basically playing as the Goths. He's already got 2 TCs back in his own base. Pedro's still kicking. Meanwhile, NilPferD trying his best to take as many favorable trades as possible. And this is Aoe2 HD at its finest. Notice how the huskarl, in his natural habitat, attempts to path onto those villagers that are surrounded by the stone walls, and he just walks circles around that castle, allowing NilPferD's hand cannoneers to do as much free damage as humanly possible. So another victory there for Aoe2 HD unit pathing allows NilPferD to kill all of those huskarls. He has enough military units now that he's showing signs of life. This is close.
Dogao's got 3 petards, and they're going to walk right into this castle as soon as it's finished building. They might get a treb, though, maybe, if they're really lucky.
Nope. He's...
Oh,
yeah,
they half killed a hand cannon. Like, I guess they did something.
That was alright, I guess.
And RiuT is still farming in his base. He's slowly being kicked out by a single hand cannon.
Getting evicted here. Absolutely awful. So many dead players this game. Like I said, this is sort of a glorified 1v1, and both players just doing this dance where they're trying to make sure that they have each other outnumbered. The hand cannoneers and the huskarls are both sort of soft counters to each other, and so it's going to boil a lot down to who has the larger sized army. I would generally put the advantage with the Goths there because they're able to mass up the huskarls sooner, but really both of these players, Dogao and NilPferD, have neglected their economy for quite some time, both only on 2 town centers, very low population, so they're going to have to start building that back up.
Oh, Dogao's playing this really smart, though. He's sending the huskarls to where the archery ranges are, so they can just pick off the hand cannons as soon as they're built, rather than trying to fight the massive army.
Yeah, you can just see them like stopping randomly, just to try and path around. He does not actually have Blast Furnace yet, which does matter on some level. Meanwhile, though, Pedro reinforcing with some of those Malian huskarls. We were talking earlier about how the Malians champions are sort of huskarls, but in this game they're literally huskarls. Looks like NilPferD has just a reasonable army that he will be able to hold the line for now. I feel like Dogao might want to consider maybe mixing in something with this to deal with those hand cannoneers. Maybe like an onager. Hopefully, if he got like one good shot, that would clear this entire army. But he has to watch it for the bombard cannons.
I think Dogao should keep ahead of this game. Like, his economy is in a lot better shape than NilPferD. And yes, Fire and RiuT are both half dead, but they are still rebooming a little bit. They're both slinging food, which is the main resource that the Goth player needs. With huskarls, they're pretty cheap.
I really like that Dogao actually, you can tell that he balanced his economy much better than NilPferD did throughout the game. And that Dogao had a significant amount of farms, and NilPferD was entirely subsisting on food tributes for quite a while and didn't build any farms for a very long time. Now he's finally getting that set up, but Dogao has just a slightly stronger economy here. Does he have enough? Oh, we'll have to see. HD unit pathing, though, these huskarls are just starting and stopping.
And while this is going on, NilPferD's losing a castle, the very first castle he built near RiuT's base.
Oh yeah, he's going to lose that there. Probably with the help of that arson upgrade, blast furnace down for Dogao, and he will be able to start picking off those unit production facilities like you mentioned earlier, which I think is a great decision. Dogao, though, just throwing his huskarls into that line of fire. There's so many hand cannoneers there, and the monks healing them and getting conversions. That's a tough line to break.
I think the next thing for NilPferD is to try to get bombard towers.
Oh yeah, those would be really difficult to remove.
Especially with the huskarls, because like, they don't get siege ram, which is generally considered one of the best ways to counter, and especially versus hand cannon. Siege rams would be amazing, just being able to tank all their fire.
Indeed. Welcome to stream, Pondy Ron Swanson. So, small victory there for NilPferD, slowly going to inch line forward with his one bombard cannon. Going to try and apply some pressure on poor Fire. His feudal society, he has merged with RiuT. They're one giant crippled blob here. Those villagers are going to die. Dogao is still waiting for his army to regroup. He needs to get enough huskarls out before he's ready to re-engage. And there we go. Here comes the siege workshop. Perhaps we will see that lucky onager shot. Maybe a bombard cannon of his own, some rams. I really like, Robo, that Andorin's like ridiculous wall at the front of his base actually just, it worked. I can't believe this worked.
Yes. It bought so much time because Dogao just got there and he's like, "You what, mate? What am I supposed to do now?"
And he's like, "Really? Oh, what is this, 1400 Black Forest?
Oh, exactly. Just turns around and just walks away. And he actually only just missed Pedro's TC by about 2 tiles of line of sight. Out in the middle of nowhere TC. And then he decided to head south to try to save Fire.
I really like that Pedro somehow didn't die. That is
oh god, that is so many huskarls.
Oh, the bombard cannon, where's it going? From NilPferD, straight into the line of fire. He's decided to defect, and Dogao's like, he's having none of that. Can NilPferD hold this castle? Because those huskarls chew right through it with that arson upgrade. And their team bonus.
A good thing about this, though, is that these huskarls are allowing Fire's villagers to make a great migration and run out of his old base.
The diversion he needs. Look at this castle just disintegrating. Where is masonry when you need it? Said nobody ever.
He has a university. NilPferD he does, and he's got the resources for it.
We need masonry, hoardings, and architecture stat. Now, I mean, those technologies do have their uses, but I feel like a lot of players need to neglect them. If you're going to put down another castle of his own...
I like these stone walls that NilPferD's done, though. That funnels all of his hand cannons into a nice little gap.
Yes. Like, basically, the hand cannons will beat the huskarls if he can prevent the huskarls from getting to them. And by creating a funnel like this, it makes it very difficult for Dogao's hand cannoneers to get up in melee range and actually do any damage. So this keeps his army safe. I like that. He's creating his own sort of terrain to exploit and really just take advantage of that unit pathing. He doesn't have enough villagers building this castle, though.
Well, that's true. His hand cannons are still going to kill so many of these huskarls.
They're so safe.
Like, because only like 2 or 3 huskarls are able to fight at a time. So the castle will probably go up and then die to the trebs, but it'll get up.
I love NilPferD's home economy. This brings me back to the old days when I used to do a lot of laddering on Voobly. For those of you who remember some of like the super old stuff with like PGGs, farms. It's a classic PGG economy here. He is NilPferD has 3 farms, but 2 farmers.
Oh.
Well, here comes the huskarls. NilPferD did a really, really good makeshift defense here with the stone walls, but I think that Dogao's finally got his economy set up enough that he's just able to stream in those huskarls. The hand cannoneers don't create quick enough, and now we're getting to the stage where the Goths can just sort of outvalue. NilPferD's KD is so inflated, but the huskarls just keep coming.
The problem is that, like, his hand cannons just walk into the huskarls because his gather point is set really far forward. Oh, but the bombard tower, there was a first bombard tower coming up near his archery ranges.
Well, he's going to need that to protect his production because I really like that decision earlier that you mentioned where Dogao sent some of his huskarls to try and camp that and pick off those archery ranges. Cut him off at the source. Meanwhile, Dogao going to stream a couple of his huskarls as well into Pedro's TC. Finish what he tried to start earlier. He's seen it now. That town center will not last.
Well, Pedro's about to click up, and I assume he's going to start switching into champions very soon. I hope.
What a crazy game.
That's really their only chance at this game.
Only in Age of Empires 2, man, can you have someone on your team build farms for both you and himself. As Andorin is all of NilPferD's farms, but NilPferD will reseed a couple of those. I like that Dogao is spreading out his army. He's not trying to take too many direct fights. He's applying pressure everywhere, and since his army creates so much quicker, and it's more mobile, he's able to apply pressure everywhere, and that's going to be very difficult for NC to deal with. NilPferD's trying to kite underneath this bombard tower, but he's going to lose his forward. The Goths are just going crazy.
And there's a forward castle from Dogao denying those golds. And that's going to be a start to become a massive problem. Because NilPferD does have 2 golds in the back of his base. I'm not sure if he's scouted them. No, he hasn't. He hasn't seen either of the golds back there. And he now has no gold income. He's relying on whatever Andorin has. And even Andorin's starting to run low.
This is the most classic Turk fast imp game I've seen in a while. I mean, I've seen a lot of these, and I even did the Break the Meta episode on this. This strategy is interesting, but we see more often than not, players will go to the Imperial Age, they will kill a bunch of people, they'll have absolutely no economy at all, and not really build it back. And then as a result, at some point, if you don't kill everyone on the opposing team, the Goths player gets huge, pushes you back, and then you have no money. NilPferD has so few villagers. He's about to get pushed in, and right now all eyes are on Pedro. He's in the Castle Age. Some Malian champions might be maybe enough to turn this around, but it's going to take a while. 70 population.
Oh, I like how Pedro is building a TC in RiuT space. The migration continues.
And guys, for those of you who are wondering, and who are surprised about me streaming on a Saturday, always keep your eyes peeled on the Twitch schedule. On my Twitch page, you just scroll down underneath the video player. I update that about every few days, so make sure you check that routinely. You also get an email if you're following, and I upload that subscription, the live streaming thing on YouTube, so...
We have a problem that NilPferD is about to chop down a tree that's going to let huskarls into his base. There's a tree with 20 wood left.
NilPferD going for a Conqueror's AI strategy here, where they'll build a bunch of very elaborate, nice walls, and then they'll chop a hole in it with their own lumberjacks. He has to be really careful about this. That's going to let everyone in. People just adding extra layers of fortified walls with these bombard towers. It will sort of deter Dogao. Will NilPferD notice that he has 8 wood left on that tree? Dogao's going to pull back.
You know how Pedro was doing a migration? He's now being Vilbashed. So that's not working out too well for him. There's a single hand cannon running around trying to save the villagers, but that's not working.
Oh god. Oh, so many silly fights going on in all corners of the map. Dogao, though, he's prepped for the long siege. NilPferD making 2-handed swordsman. I actually like this. I do think that the fact that the Turks have champions is a very often overlooked part of the civilization. There's more to them than just gunpowder. Not much, but there's a little bit more. The champions are going to be excellent versus those huskarls.
And Dogao has actually built a really, really smart castle in between Andorin and Pedro. It controls 2 golds and a stone there. And it just kind of stops those 2 players from working together.
This is such a crazy game. Oh my god. Pedro, he's up to Imp. He's got the long swordsman. Everybody transitioning into one of the least popular units in Age of Empires 2, the militia line, which is very useful early on as a drush, but as the game drags on, they become quite a situational unit.
Oh, these palisade walls from Pedro to stop the petards getting in. I'm not entirely certain if this is going to work. I think the splash damage from the petards might be able to kill the palisade wall, and
Yeah,
he could always just walk past and attack somewhere else.
Yeah, I agree. That is cute, though. I think you need houses to do this, but we'll have to see. He does want to avoid that petard bust as much as humanly possible. I think a lot of players struggle against the Goths because they don't tech into champions. Like, the Britons versus Goths matchup isn't actually that awful. If you anticipate the huskarls and you're ready at all points of the game to make champions, champions do beat the huskarls one-on-one because the huskarls have, like, no melee armor. Dogao putting a lot of pressure on Pedro, but Pedro has kind of the ideal army to deal with this. He just doesn't have enough units yet, no forging either.
Yeah, the lack of attack upgrades is really going to be what kills him.
Mm-hmm.
And once that castle's done, there's no extra damage coming out.
It's interesting that Dogao has actually just forfeited all the pressure he was putting on NilPferD, but I think he realized that it would be so difficult to break through those bombard towers and fortified walls, and now NilPferD transitioning into champions is not something that we see every day from the Turks. He will be able to destroy that forward. That's a lot of stone down the drain. Meanwhile, though, Pedro in a lot of trouble. Forging very important versus those huskarls. Can he hold the line?
At the moment, yes, but as more and more units stream in, I don't think he's going to be able to survive.
Yeah, it's going to be a slow and steady decline for Pedro. Actually, I say slow and steady, but it's going to be over pretty quickly now. He has been stalling, but the fact that the Goths military units create so quickly, their infantry comes out almost instantly. They're like the Zerg of Age of Empires, too. Makes it difficult to defend against this. He has the ideal units, but he's not able to make enough of them. He's going to put down a lot of military production facilities, though. Build another defensive castle. Try his best to hold the line. And he might maybe be able to, because Dogao's attention is now divided. He's shifting some of his units towards the top.
The problem is, though, that NilPferD's army of champions are patrolling in the middle of the map doing absolutely nothing. And he's running really low on gold.
Oh, they are.
Like, yeah, champions are pretty cheap. Like, it's only 20 gold, but 200 gold, that's only 10 champions. And the Goth player has got 40 billion huskarls running around.
And yet again, Robo, there's always a gold mine just barely in your blind spot. We swap over to NC's Vision and turn on Fog of War. You will see that NilPferD does not know about 2 gold mines that he has in the back of his base that are actually safe. He hasn't seen them.
Those gold mines could have made a massive difference earlier, I reckon. Like, that gold boost could have helped him out so much.
But he does finally bring those champions in. They're going to be very strong versus those elite huskarls. He's going to have to, help right now as Pedro's running out of time. He's on a clock. He doesn't really have... He's going to start running out of resources, too. He cannot make champions enough to hold this.
The problem is his champions still aren't fully upgraded either. No blast furnace, which is super, super, super important.
Yeah, you'll see that generally players like to prioritize their defensive upgrades for their melee units, but there are a lot of situations where you do want forging, the +1 attack for infantry, and cavalry, especially versus things like huskarls, where your defense matters a lot less than the ability to do damage in these melee versus melee fights like that. So, forging blast furnace is very, very helpful.
Well, both of the final upgrades, it's either +2 attack or +1 armor. So obviously +2 is better than +1.
Yes, and the huskarls, they already have blast furnace, so you want to make sure that you're at least ahead on upgrades if you want to actually take them on. Because 13+2 versus the 12+4, he does not actually have that stat advantage yet because he doesn't have blast furnace.
And Dogao's taking into champions now.
Some gbetos for Pedro. This is the first time we've seen gbetos in competitive African Kingdoms, I think. That's pretty cool. He's just making that basically because they happen to be, sort of throwing axeman style where they do melee damage, and he needs to do something to. He needs to do melee damage to actually kill those huskarls.
If Kaylee's still here, she'll be really impressed with those.
Yes.
The only problem is the gbetos, I've got like no health, so.
Is this a forward university for Dogao? It's not finished, but a little bit south of Andorin's base.
Oh, yes, that is.
It's also the first forward university I've seen. Outside of my own games. I like how this game is kind of boiled down to Dogao versus everybody, basically.
Yep, but the thing is that both RiuT and Fire and Castle Age, they're going to start building lots of TCs and more slinging, and eventually they'll get to the stage when Dogao only needs about 10 villages. Because he'll have 2 people in Castle Age full slinging him.
Yeah, and Dogao is also setting up for a trade route. Trading on Arena is always a massive pain in the ass due to the way the map is actually set up. But, you know, they're already putting down some preemptive gates, getting ready for it. Meanwhile, NilPferD threatening to break in through a gate in the top right corner of the map. Dogao regrouping his forces, not actually able to apply the killing blow to Pedro, and this could be a pivotal turning point in the game. If Pedro does not die, Dogao's going to have a lot of trouble closing this game out.
Oh, and NilPferD has found both those golds, and it looks like they're going to be trading from Andorin's base into NilPferD's, which is a very short trade line, and there's a big, ugly block of wood that just sort of cuts out in between them.
Yeah, it's not going to be efficient at all. Well, meanwhile, Dogao trying to reclaim as much map control as possible. You know, both teams sort of reverting back to their original map positions. Dogao wants to clear out this forward from NilPferD. You see some champion-on-champion fight right now, and NilPferD does have Blast Furnace, so his champions will match it favorably versus the Goths one that missed that max-level defense upgrade.
And RiuT seems to be switching into Cavaliers.
Huh.
Slavs do get fully upgraded Cavaliers, so I guess that's kind of workable.
Oh, and Fire actually just got the fortified wall upgrade for the Malians, so we get to see those fancy African Kingdoms walls. Wow.
That is cool. I like that. I much prefer that to the Feudal Age one. Oh, and Andorin's in the Castle Age. Hype. Just for that trade speed boost, I reckon. I think that's the main reason you should touch that.
Yeah, Trade Caravan is a colossal boon to your trade economy. Oh, whenever I see players establish a lengthy trade line and they actually don't have Trade Caravan, it is awful. One thing that's really cool is you'll see HD Unipathing in action as NilPferD is attempting to trade with Andorin's market, and notice how they just keep bouncing off the tree line, walking straight past Dogao's castle. Meanwhile, Dogao is going to be clearing out a bunch of those houses over the wall, so it's going to be really annoying for Andorin. A pause!
Okay, well, the fact that NilPferD's trying to make hussars is a little bit of a problem.
JT Lonely Knight mentions that they could just open a trade line at the back of the Siege Onager. This is actually the Forgotten and African Kingdoms, so they could use just a regular Onager if they wanted. Thanks, Miss A-Bot.
The problem with that is though that you need to take into onagers, and the Turk player doesn't get onagers, and Pedro's kind of, his eco is in a pretty bad shape at the moment, and Andorin's not imperial age.
Yes.
So they're kind of stuck over there at the moment.
What a crazy series of games. So far, this series has been a lot closer, so I've definitely been enjoying that. The gbeto's coming out. We might even see the elite gbeto upgrade from Pedro, but I think right now he's trying to be a little bit conservative with his gold. We're reaching that awkward state in Arena that no one actually likes to get to. When you're playing Arena in a team game and you're like, okay, the gold mine's running out, do I really have to set up a trade line on this map? Oh. And they do, as everyone's starting to run out of money.
I think onagers is definitely going to be a good call with opening the trade lines, especially from Andorin. Like, if he could get him and cut into that corner there, then that forest gives such a nice buffer to defend his trade line.
Yeah, a lot of players also seem to forget that you can actually use onagers, not just siege onagers, to cut through those trees, so they are able to do that, and that would boost their trade line quite a bit. But regardless, both teams happen to have a siege onager civ. Both teams have Malians. Oh, those Trebs sniping off those heavy scorpions. It's really cute.
And the gbeto is microing like a boss.
The heavy scorpion is an interesting choice for me. One thing is that, I mean, it's very good versus, like, the gbeto type unit, because it has very low pierce armor, low HP, the piercing bolts just tear right through them, but not so great versus the Malian champions. If those regular champions would be better, but the pierce armor kind of shirks those off.
Well, so it does well versus NilPferD.
It does, yes. NilPferD's not there, though.
No, but he's got scorpions on the other side as well.
Okay, yeah, he does. And a couple of archers for NilPferD, as I think he bumped the A hotkey twice by accident. He has 2 archers in his army in the top. The scorpions are still also easily dealt with, though, by the bombard cannons and the hussars, so I see why he did that, but I guess he doesn't have that many great options. I think maybe I would be considering something like hand cannoneers. I do understand the heavy scorpions, though. I like how the Trebs are so good versus them. This is great.
And like if Pedro manages onagers, then he can flatten them all in like 1 or 2 shots. Oh,
yeah,
but he's pushing into Andrew and he's got a trebuchet and a cap ram.
Oh man. Maybe another reason why, I doubt this was the reason why, I'm pretty sure it's Trade Caravan, but for fun, I will think about it, that maybe Andorin wanted to get to the Castle Age so his walls have double the HP, reverting that nerf that Decision applied. Andorin's actually going to build a siege workshop, so he's forced to build his first military unit over an hour into the game. He might make a defensive mangonel to deal with that cap ram.
Oh, and Pedro is now starting to add in pikemen. I'm guessing that they've told him that there's cavaliers coming over, but I'm not sure how much of a good idea that is, because he's constantly housed 160 pop at the moment. He's not building any houses. So the pikes are just going to waste his population space that he needs for stronger champions.
Yeah, some good communication that they warned him that the Cavaliers are on the way. Although I do have to say that I don't really fear the Cavaliers that much. They are just Cavaliers. There is no blast furnace upgrade for them, so they're missing +2 attack. I think another reason why he's considering
saying
it is...
that they just got blast furnace.
All right, JK, he has blast furnace now. I think he's also trying to be a little bit conservative with his gold, as he only has 400 left. Well, it looks like NilPferD is also going to attempt some raiding with his hussars, but in classic Aoe2 HD, as the game drags on, your units feel the need to just stop randomly and then continue moving. They have to take a breath, rest their legs for a little bit. It's hard being a hussar.
Oh, of course. Like, you gotta run all over the place and you have to go charge the enemy gun line, trying to snipe some siege. It's a very painful thing to do. Like, there's no, like, workers' benefits, there's no workers' comp. It's just... It's horrible. They need to get a union or something.
Look at Andorin with these walls. Oh my god. He's going to try and protect the trade line by adding an additional layer of walls. I would like to see that fortified wall upgrade come down, but he's trying to sling as much money as humanly possible. Pedro, showing promising signs of life, is pushing out aggressively. Dogao is kind of crumbling. Right now, RiuT losing a lot of his base, too.
Onages on the gbetos would be really dangerous. And there's no real way to snipe them until the trebs are ready.
This is something that Memb and I were talking about, how in HD the counter system is backwards, and that as the game drags on, since your paladins feel the need to stop compulsory for some reason, you can actually just kill them with onagers. And here, the onagers are getting some great shots on those infantry units. Dogao pushing this back, Pedro losing a lot of his army.
And while that's happening, NilPferD's army of hussars is getting cut down by just mass hussar and cavalier from RiuT.
Yeah, great job from RiuT managing to hold the line here, and this is also important because if he loses his base, then that's going to be a lot of momentum gone, and Brazil could very easily start crumbling, as that will allow NilPferD to apply pressure on different sides of the map. So the fact that RiuT is able to hold this, and now he's going to threaten a counter push of his own with a ton of siege rams, those bombard towers and that town center are going to disappear, and right now the shoe's on the other foot. Brazil looking strong again. This game's crazy.
And Fire is now an imp as well, so he could start switching into... And he's building archery ranges. Ooh. Archery ranges. I guess he's going to go for Malian hand cannons?
I think so. And all these onager shots here have been great. Just when you think the Dogao is running out of steam, RiuT pulls through, able to hold the line. Even right now, actually, Fire building back into the game. He's putting down this archery range, he's making some gbetos. Brazil seems like they were almost out of breath, but really, they're doing just fine.
And Pedro's got basically no gold. He's just making full hell gbeto at the moment.
Yeah, all the gold that he has is being slung to him because there's no way he can safely establish a trade line. This is another reason why it's so critical that Dogao can keep up this forward push. That way, Pedro is isolated and he will not be able to establish a trade line. I would like to see maybe like an onager for Pedro, and maybe he could cut his way back into Andorin's base.
Well, I quite like the Andorin score is just happening to sit at the top of the scoreboard at the moment.
Yeah, even though he's
just slowing how much of an MVP he is for his sling, keeping his team in the game.
This is one hell of a sling and one hell of a base. This is like the kind of thing that I used to do when I was a kid. You know, even playing versus the Conqueror's AI. Just layers and layers and layers of walls. Well, right now Dogao's running out of money, by the way. No gold.
No gold, really?
Yeah.
Ooh. Ooh, that's a problem. Fire's slinging him a little bit more gold, but he's in a bit of trouble here.
It looks like a part of this is due to the hussar rating by NilPferD. It's a great play on his part. He's focus firing down a bunch of those trade carts at the top markets for Brazil, forcing Dogao to pull back a lot of his military. Perhaps he actually pulled back too many pikemen and champions. There's a lot of trade carts down, really slowing down their trade. And when Dogao starts having to make pikemen, then that gives a lot of room for NC to push back.
He is still sitting at 210 pop though, so he's not out of the game at all. Like, it's still got a lot of pop running around.
Yes, this game is close. And as Dogao starts to run out of momentum, he's got his team. They're still kicking. RiuT's coming back. Fire coming back. They're both making significantly sized militaries. And, well, NilPferD's going to have quite a bit of difficulty taking on both of these players at the same time. And Dogao's really not running out of momentum. He's still able to push into Pedro. This game is really close.
They need to do something different on Pedro's side.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the sling just isn't working. He's not slinging enough goals if he can't make enough champions. Or gbetos. And he's got a elite gbeto now, which is quite nice.
Oh, and Pedro is going to make the light cavalry. The Farimba light cavalry, 7+7 attack. It's something. It matches it very poorly versus the pikemen, but really he's just trying to make military units, maintain population, and stall as much as possible so that hopefully NilPferD can get something done the other side.
But he started to build a little bit of a forward, sneaking out in towards Dogao's base. And you got some capped rams going in. So it looks like he might think about sending Helbs and light cav into the trade line.
Is Dogao getting pushed back in Pedro's base?
It certainly looks like it, yes.
That is very bad for him. Pedro, the Highlander, he will not die. Oh my god.
And the push is coming in, and NilPferD is still holding in the middle fairly well. I think RiuT should probably try to harass the trade line in some way, like send some siege rams and hussars up straight to the north and avoid this sort of forward for the time being.
This gives me flashbacks to a lot of my gameplay videos where I'm boxed into my own base, just having to hold the line the entire time, praying that on the other side of the map things are going well. And right now, well, things are going okay for NilPferD. He's spamming bombard towers like crazy, slowly stretching as much map control as possible, making so many military production facilities, moving in. What he really wants to do is get into this trade line. That would be one way to end the game, but it's very well protected.
Well, this little push that Pedro's done in towards Dogao's base has actually been really good, because Dogao's had to reposition a lot of his army back that way, so Pedro's just reclaimed the front of his base now.
Yeah, Dogao is actually just running out of population. He's finally dropped steadily below 210. He's now at 165. And I think the big reason why his push petered out, like you said, is because Pedro started building some buildings on the right side of his base. Basically, the NC team wanted to divide Dogao's army by attacking him on multiple fronts. And as a result, Pedro was able to clear him out of his own base, and that's going to be really tricky for Brazil to recover from.
You know that mangonel that Andorin made?
Hmm?
That's in the middle of the map now. We are NilPferD's push.
Here comes the one military unit. Will Andorin claim a kill this game? Find out. It looks like he's actually just going to poke at some houses.
Just trying to be useful. Do his part for the team. Oh, it looks like he's going to die to pikeman in a moment, though. That's unfortunate.
No! Oh, he got a kill!
He got a pikeman. He got a pikeman.
He's going to live! Well.
Oh, that was well done.
Yeah,
that was well done. MVP mangonel there.
I think that if we take a look at their trade line, where Dogao has a bunch of pikemen there, is just one of the examples where Dogao's troops are so divided across the entire map, and that's given Pedro a lot of breathing room. Meanwhile, though, again, like, RiuT and Fire are doing some serious work, and they're getting stronger over time with the Hussar spam. I like that choice of unit. It's neutral, obviously, against the opposing Hussars, decent against the hand cannoneers, good against bombard cannons. And then Fire with those hand cannoneers as just a deterrent for NilPferD to make champions. That way, Dogao gets a little bit more breathing room with his own units. Speaking of breathing room, though, Dogao's running out of that in his own base.
Oh, but he's got a mass of huskarls that are about to come in towards Pedro.
Yeah, actually, Pedro has no military population to defend against this. Should Dogao decide that he just wants to go in for the throat? Meanwhile, Dogao's still steadily just trying to treb stuff.
I feel like Dogao doesn't know that you can cut with onages, because he has 3 onages there and a lot of huskarls. He could just go straight into the trade.
Yeah, a lot of players forget about that. That's one of, I guess lesser appreciated changes. One that I like a lot, but doesn't really come to play too often. Except here, it certainly would. It's interesting that Dogao is content with actually trading himself for Pedro, as I would say that, well, Pedro's been behind for so long that Dogao forfeiting his own base would mean that they lose the trade line. That's the thing, like, if Pedro loses his base, then the trade line still exists for NC. If Dogao loses that, without the trade line, Brazil is gonna collapse.
Well, the problem is, though, that it's 2v1 on the other side, so it kind of works in the short term. Like, if they're able to 2v1 NilPferD into the ground,
Yep.
then it's worthwhile.
This is one hell of a gamble. I actually think Brazil might be able to get away with this. Just because, like you said, it's the 2v1 here, where Fire and RiuT have just so much army. NilPferD finally has lost all of his bombard towers, slowly pushing these guys out, and then they will be able to swing south, cut Pedro off. This could be an interesting gamble.
There's a couple of castles throughout the trade line, which obviously don't do much to champions in the helbs, but they'll help versus any gbetos that might cab that run in.
Mm-hmm.
And Andorin is sending forward villages for some reason. I think he's just trying to make pop space, maybe.
By the way, thank you, Flapjack. Hope to see you around, man.
Ooh, Andorin's actually making stables in the middle of the map.
He's gonna make military units. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, 1 hour and 21 minutes in the game. We've yet another pause. But this is to give, of course, Andorin plenty of time to mentally prepare himself to transition into military units. We might actually see an army larger than one. Could see some imperial camels.
Well, he has to get to imperial first.
Okay. Oh yeah, he's still in the castle age. We might see some camels.
Well, his sling is scarily strong. He's still on 89,000 resources.
That's disgusting.
And yeah, wow. Whereas RiuT and Fire combined have slung about 45,000.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to Age of Slinging. Well,
wow, the KD is absolutely horrendous. Dogao with 1,200 kills, 1,200 losses.
What's Andorin's largest army, and what's his KD?
He has 2 army, 510.
Nice! Not bad,
So
not bad.
he's running at a half.
What a bloody game. I hope that when they unpause it doesn't go out of sync or something, because if it does, this is the quintessential HD experience where you're like, whoa, oh my god, this game's sick, it's close, it's really well balanced, and then out of sync detected.
Oh god, no, that would be horrendous.
This match is crazy, I want to see the end! NilPferD is a great game so far, smiley face. Well, I guess we're in the sort of like mid-game break. Maybe this is where I cut into 2 parts, I don't know.
Maybe they've all decided to go get a... Oh, no, they're starting again. I was gonna say maybe they went for like a coffee break or something.
Indeed, butter chicken. Even gods bleed. Yeah, this is everybody's little pee break. There are so many points in this game, like, I would love to watch this one again, where things could have gone differently. Like, I almost wonder, like, if Dogao actually managed to finish either Pedro or NilPferD off. But those were such tough calls.
Oh, and he could have got NilPferD because like he just about cut that wood line and he turned around and left.
Yeah.
Like if he'd stuck around for 30 seconds, he could have got into his base and just completely wiped him off.
I can check the achievements without breaking anything, right? Because one of my biggest concerns is if I go to the achievements menu and then like they unpause, it'll briefly go to the multiplayer status screen, then the world will just disintegrate.
Well, I've already done it twice, so
I'm gonna go real quickly, guys. Wow, that's Goths in a nutshell for you with that KD. Good lord, it's a lot of money. Disgusting. And we're back in the game. Just in time for the Scottish bagpipe music as we wait. No, please, God, no. No, God, no. Yes! Oh, it didn't crash.
Oh, yes. And actually, Dogao hasn't killed Pedro.
Yeah.
Pedro fought it off with help gbeto. Wow, I'm actually surprised at how good those gbetos are actually doing.
Yeah, Pedro.
Oh,
Turtle God.
Andorin with the troll palisade walls around the markets in Dogao's base. He's got 2 villagers that are blocking those 2 trade
Oh my
carts.
god!
He's bill bashing a trade cart.
I mean, honestly, like, especially in Aoe2 HD, that makes a colossal impact because the trade carts already get stuck on everything, like they're coated in, like, tree sap. And so, by actually putting a couple of palisade walls there, it makes it so much harder. I can't even select them due to the broken unit selection. Well, right now, fire with a huge army of hand cannoneers going to just sweep in, and like, this is what I said earlier. As soon as they push back, NilPferD's forward in the middle of the map. This is when one of them is going to sweep down and push Pedro back out of Dogao's base. We're going to reset yet again. I'm actually not sure what team is going to win. Are you kidding me?
It could definitely go either way. I think Brazil's got a slightly stronger trade line at the moment. It's about the same distance, but they've got more players trading.
Yeah. After all this time, guys, Pedro has still... He has, like, 0 trade profit, right? Like, he still has not been able to trade, and I would like to see him onager his way, like, into Andorin's base, but...
He has
I don't think anyone knows about that.
But the problem is that to get to NilPferD's base, he has to run past that castle that Dogao's built, past all those buildings, and then the only gate into NilPferD's base is right in front of those bombard towers. So it's a really long out-of-the-way route for him to take.
We are resetting yet again. This is classic epic Age of Empires 2. This match is crazy. As Pedro going to lose his forward. NilPferD lost his as well. God, this game is scary. This makes up for the fact that game 1 was, like, real silly. And what the hell is this? Robo in the middle of the map. There are siege towers. What? What? I think that's just
fire.
There's no way he's going to use these, right?
No, he must be a misclick. It has to be.
What the fuck?
What's he gonna do with them?
I've spent so long now mocking the siege tower for not being a competitive unit and being way too niche in its application, and yet he's got 4.
And the graphics are so ugly as well. Like, it does not fit in with anything.
It looks better than it used to. Regardless, these siege towers. Oh, he just deleted them all. Oh. That's siege tower in a nutshell. What hotkey is that? That sucks. I think those are supposed to be siege ramps. There's no way. No one would intentionally build the siege tower unless they were going for some sort of Castle Age cheese.
No, that couldn't be.
It's because the siege tower is so expensive, it doesn't attack back. And in the few applications where it's good, you've probably won because you must have complete map control. Anyway, that was really cute. I like how he actually just deleted them. God, Brazil looking strong, by the way.
Pedro has some onagers, so we could cut into the trade line now if he wanted to.
Please do it.
I think he's mostly trying to use them just to counter the hand cannons, though.
Yeah. Hand cannoneers die in 1 shot to an onager. And ooh, Pedro finally has enough money for the siege onager upgrade. That is a very, very important one. He does have to watch out, though. This hand cannoneer is excellent versus those gbetos. Will he get a good shot with these siege onagers? That was pretty good. Oh. And the next one? Oh!
Oh, wow. Wow. He's gonna lose those onagers, but damn. Oh, actually, no, never mind. He's not gonna lose those onagers.
It's like I was talking to Mem. The counter system, it's backwards in Aoe2 HD. Onagers beat melee units. The minimum range, not an issue.
In Soviet AoE, onagers counter you?
Yes.
Is that how it works?
I like that NilPferD is mixing in some camels, by the way. I think that's a very smart decision on his part. Of course, to deal with RiuT's mass hussars, which he's been spamming forever now.
The boyars are real. Boyars, however you pronounce it.
Wait, where are they?
On the right-hand side. That's going to go really well. Yep.
If you look at their trade line, Brazil right now is like spamming all the pings on that stupid wood line, and Dogao probably right now is having an aneurysm, popping several blood vessels. He's like, what the fuck is this? Like, what is this unit pathing? Is this... How much money did I pay for this? How long has it been like this? These trade carts just getting bunched up on each other, barely moving at all, having to stop between actions as this was turn-based. Absolutely devastating. Meanwhile, Fire actually has a couple of gbetos, but are unupgraded. I do see the boyars, yes. Very cool. The boyars, even though they're not elite, are going to be decent against the heavy camels just because of the higher melee armor. But yeah, this is awful. They're going to need some onagers or something to clear this out. Oof. That was bad. Well, Pedro in a little bit of trouble, but he's still not dead yet. It looks like he is finally an hour and 30 minutes in.
I think Pedro's in actually a very good position now.
Yes.
Like, the sling is really strong. He's got 1,500 gold almost.
And he cleared out Dogao's fort in front of his own base. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, not only could we see a few military units out from Andorin at any point, he's threatening it, he's got the stables, but also Pedro could get trade profit. Maybe.
Maybe.
But then they have to open these walls. At least he has the option for it now, so we'll have to see how that goes. NilPferD trying his best to hold the line, but right now, NC just kind of like lacks a win condition. I mean, I guess Pedro has finally freed himself from that forward, but they don't have a momentum anywhere. They need to find some place to push, otherwise they're just going to slowly lose ground over time.
I feel like Pedro could go in and kill Dogao if he really wanted to, but the problem is that NilPferD is just slowly just getting pushed back and back and back.
Yeah, Dogao is going to be wide open for a while because he can't actually rebuild those stone walls. One of the Goths' weaknesses, God, this unit pathing. It's not like the game starts this bad, though. You can see it with, like, the villagers when you build, like, a lumber camp, and then as the game drags on, oh, they just get bunched up on each other. I can't wait for the next update. That is going to be awesome. Well, Pedro, he's getting huge. I'm assuming, though, that he's going to go rescue NilPferD, right? But it looks like he's actually going to push into Dogao's base. Do you think that's the right decision? That seems a little risky to me.
I think he's just hoping that if he's able to get in and kill the trade, that they'll just sort of fall apart.
Yeah, if he can do that, and honestly, there are castles protecting the trade line, but there are none of them actually next to the markets themselves. It's certainly possible that if Pedro just goes in here, closes his eyes, and just dashes straight for those markets, that he might be able to kill all of the trade line. Dogao's going to put down a defensive castle to prevent those gbetos from getting in, but it's a little late.
He needs to deny that castle if he wants to get in. At least anytime soon before his siege rolls up.
Great reaction here from Dogao, putting this castle in exactly the perfect spot. These military units will be funneled through those walls. They'll have to walk straight into the castle, and it makes it a lot harder to go make a mad dash for that trade line. As a result, I feel like Pedro missed his opportunity to deny that castle, but he can tread it down at least.
Yeah, but that just takes time, though.
I mean, this is a gamble.
The champions are going to do very well, though. Like, they can run in and kill the castle as well, but it's just time that they can't really afford to spend.
And yeah, Blade Runner, yeah, the next update, he could break stuff. Who knows? Regardless, this is a huge gamble here for NC. Trying, they're basically making sure that if they can break through this line and NilPferD doesn't die, then that could be the game. It's just who can kill the opposing team's trade line first is how you close out the game in these long macro wars. Now that Pedro has to play this straight and just slowly push in, that's going to take quite a while to break through these, but there are only hand cannoneers for Dogao. Hand cannoneers very weak versus gbetos because he has no more gold.
Yeah, I think Fire is going to have to come over and help him out.
Yeah.
The problem is, what is he going to send, though? He's starting to stream his hand cannons to gbetos over, but again, that gives NilPferD a chance to try to regroup as well. But, ooh, the Slavish siege is coming out.
Oh, will it be enough? I do like that he's mixing in those heavy scorpions now. It should be quite strong. NilPferD's losing ground, but the thing is though, he has so many bombard cannons, and what I really like with NilPferD is that when you give him an inch of land, he really cements his presence there by just spamming as many military buildings as possible, spamming all those bombard towers, making himself very entrenched. And it makes it hard for his opponents to actually push him out of it once he starts losing control. Fire is going to come in here and try and send some gbetos to assist. I think that Dogao will be able to hold the line with the help of those gbetos. Barely, at least.
Oh, just hoping for a good SO shot on the gbetos, I reckon. That would definitely turn the game around. Ooh, that's a nice
might even end the game.
There.
Yeah, no one really has a clean answer to that forward castle either. Pedro moving in with a bunch of trebuchets, and no trebuchets for Brazil. This could be the decisive turning point. If Pedro gets this push... Oh!
Oh, that was nice.
A couple of good onager shots. If Pedro kills the trade, that is the absolute end of the game. Can they do it? The interesting thing to note here is that this is forfeiting so much pressure on NilPferD. NilPferD might be able to stabilize now that Fire can't send assistance, but still, RiuT's doing a great job here. I think that he'll be okay.
And Fire's got SO as well now on the left-hand side.
Good lord.
So very, very stalemate at the moment.
What is this game? Oh, the castle is down. I think it's an excellently positioned castle from Pedro. Good onager shot from Fire. Does trade with the trebuchet. I like the defensive bombard cannon a lot from Dogao. Great reaction here to pick off those siege onagers, pick off those trebuchets safely from the other side of your own buildings. Pedro pushing in though. He's getting dangerously close to the trade line.
And there's only really one more castle that he needs to worry about. If he could get in there and kill those siege workshops and stop any more siege onagers coming out from Fire, then there's really nothing that can stop his huge army of gbetos.
So many of them just pushing in here, my god. I do like that Pedro is also putting down a lot of siege workshops here, spamming as many siege onagers as he can. As long as he keeps spamming siege onagers, it makes it very difficult for Fire to actually mass up his own gbetos, as he has to watch out for those shots. A lot of bombard cannons for Dogao, desperately trying to pick up as much siege as possible to buy some time. Those trade carts, though, they are vulnerable. Can they hold this?
Oh, yes, those are coming in for Fire, though.
That's a pretty good shot.
Oh, but there's also bombard towers from NilPferD. That's going to be really good. And NilPferD needs to get a castle and get the +2 range upgrade.
Oh yeah, he doesn't actually have artillery yet, does he? He doesn't.
I don't think he has any castles left, because he lost them all earlier.
By the gods. This game is ridiculous. Fire gonna pick off a bunch of those forward villagers from Pedro by attacking on the other side, so I like that. Dividing up his forces. Pedro slowly running out of military units, but he hasn't been pushed back yet. A lot of the reason why his push has been so successful is due to the amount of trebs he has, and here comes green. Andorin coming in with a single battering ram, still in the castle age.
Where is this battering ram? Oh, I see it. Oh, yeah. Yes. Yes, that is the game changer.
That is going to just flip everything on its head. There is absolutely no way that Brazil can deal with this one battering ram. The straw that breaks the camel's back is here. Will this battering ram be the hero that kills the trade line?
No, look at these trade cards bumping up around RiuT's market.
That's awful.
That lumber camp, that palisade wall, they're all just stuck there.
No, like really, the MVP of this game is definitely going to be Andorin, our green Indians player, because this one palisade wall, I was talking about this, in HD, this is a very powerful tool to harass the opponent's economy. It's so strong. Look at how much extra time those trade carts have to spend pathing around this. They can't do it. It should be simple, but it's not. Look at that. That's a lot less gold. It's a game changer. I do really like the 4 bombard towers in NilPferD as well. So great teamwork there. I think that Andorin will be able to get one building raised with this
Pedro's about to get massive just shot on the heavy scorpions. Oh god, that was like 8 scorpions flattened on NilPferD's side. Oh god, that was horrible.
Yeah, I can see where they were.
With just bodies just layered on top of each other.
Holy shit! I think NC actually did it. I think they're going to kill the trade line, and that might actually be it. It was the one battering ram.
Oh yes. Look at that battering ram. It's killing Dogao's houses, so he gets houses, right?
I do think a decent chunk of this. Like I wish I could quantify it for you guys, but I promise you that this one palisade wall made a significant difference this game. It could have been, a few hundred less gold for all of the Brazil team, and that definitely matters. That's a couple siege onagers. That's a whole army of gbetos, and it's difficult to quantify, but I promise you it's made a significant impact on this game. This trade line's going down. I don't think they can recover from that, right?
And NilPferD's still got a little bit of walls, still got bombard towers. Still just barely holding on.
Man, they should have killed that one palisade. Oh god.
Or just deleted the lumber camp. That would have worked too.
That too. Ah. You have to send the replay to Spirit of the Law, and then you can calculate how much gold was lost. I'm actually, I would be interested in that. That would be pretty cool. I think it's at least a couple hundred. Meanwhile, though, again, RiuT, he's got a vendetta. He is tired. Like, it's all about revenge at this point. Retribution. RiuT lost his entire base to NilPferD early on in the game, so now his #1 goal is to make NilPferD feel as awful as possible and just kill everything. Unfortunately, though, he has a lot of momentum on his side, but it's too little too late. Without the trade line, without his lifeblood to sustain him, I think it's going to be all for nothing.
And the bombard towers are continuing to push in towards the left, while Pedro pushes to the right.
Mm-hmm. Well, Brazil desperately trying to hold the trade line, but with those bombard cannons and bombard towers from NilPferD, I love that he sent some assistance.
That castle's about to die, and then there's nothing that's going to stop him just running in there.
Just goes to show, guys, artillery is a terrible technology, don't need it. The game goes on for an hour and 45 minutes, it's fine.
Yeah, underrated tech. I mean, sorry, overrated tech much. Like, +2 range? Poof, who needs that?
In all seriousness, though, guys, it is actually a very strong technology. But the reason that he can't get it is because by the time he had enough resources that he could safely invest it, NilPferD ran out of castles, so he actually just can't research it.
Well, he'd need to buy, like, 1,100 stone to be able to get the tech.
Yep.
650 for the castle, 450 for the tech. And, like, the stone price is 300-ish, I think, at the moment.
Yeah,
298. So, can't really afford to do that.
Yeah, Fletch, I just got over my cold, my allergies super bad, a lot of deeply personal things going on in the background, so I'm like running out of voice. For Game 5, I have no idea what I'm going to do. But the game is finally over, right before I pass out from running out of breath. This game was probably one of the most entertaining games of competitive Age of Empires 2 I've ever seen. Now, of course, if you guys enjoyed this, I have plenty of other, believe it or not, equally awesome competitive Age of Empires 2 matches. I'll have a bunch of those in the video description. I have a bunch of playlists for that. And if you want to see more of this, I got my Twitch stream. You can find the schedule there as well. You just scroll underneath there and update that every few days. And I'll also be doing some non-AoE stuff on the side, too. What a crazy game, Robo.
Oh, that was just amazing. That was such a classic.
I would not have guessed that NC could have been able to come back there to defeat the juggernaut of Dogao.
So dead there for a while with Pedro. Absolutely nothing left in his base. NilPferD starting to get pushed.
They made Dogao's KD negative. Those monsters.
And Pedro turned around like a -300 deficit and now is in the positive, so...
Andorin's KD, though, tanked. Since the last time we checked.
2 more kills, 30 more deaths.
Worth. And yeah, Fletch, I know you know, but some people don't.
Oh god, 157,000 sling. Jesus. That is so much.
198 villager high.
That was great.
There's so many up and down moments in this game. I cannot believe that NC came back. Like, you can see in the timeline that things went very south for them quite quickly.
Yeah, just before RiuT hits Castle Age.
Guys, I already showed this thing. You can see it right here.
Oh god.
It was almost 2 hours. So much money. Good lord. Damn, NilPferD, that match was nuts. Okay, so thank you so much for watching so far, guys. Really appreciate the support. I'm dying, but I will try and last through one more game. And then I'm going to sleep for several days. So stick around. I'll be posting this on YouTube within a couple of days. As always, your support means a lot to me. So yeah, thank you guys. And this tournament has been working out. It's a shame that I missed game 1, but I think this more than made up for it. We'll be back with the next game in a couple of minutes. So stay tuned. And if you enjoyed this, share it around. We will be right back. I need some water.
Oh, I need some water too. I need to go to the toilet.